The Kirby series is one of the most beloved franchises in gaming history, and with its 30th anniversary upon us, it's a great time to reflect on all the joy and excitement it has brought to fans around the world. From its charming and whimsical design to its addictive gameplay, Kirby has captured the hearts of gamers of all ages. This anniversary celebration is a perfect opportunity for us to look back on the legacy of this iconic series and also to look forward to what's to come. To celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Kirby series, two new games have been developed: Kirby and the Forgotten Land and Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. These games promise to bring back all the fun and excitement that fans of the series have come to love, while also introducing new and exciting gameplay mechanics. Kirby and the Forgotten Land takes place in a post-apocalyptic world, where Kirby must use his trademark abilities to explore a mysterious land and uncover its secrets. Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, on the other hand, is a remastered version of the classic game, featuring updated graphics and new content. As a longtime fan of the Kirby series, I'm excited to see what these new games have in store for us. To provide some expert insight into the world of Kirby, we're going to unravel a recent GDC talk by two of the most influential figures when it comes to Kirby. First, we have the executive director of HAL Laboratory, the development team behind the Kirby series. Their experience and knowledge of the series will give us a better understanding of the creative process behind these beloved games. Second, we have the director of Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, who can provide us with a behind-the-scenes look at the remastering process and the challenges that come with it. Their expertise will give us a unique perspective on what it takes to create and maintain a successful franchise like Kirby. Today, we'll dive into the colorful and whimsical world of Kirby and explore the history behind this iconic series. We'll take a closer look at the two games developed to mark Kirby's 30th anniversary: Kirby and the Forgotten Land and Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. Additionally, we'll discuss the impact that Kirby has had on the gaming industry and why it continues to capture the hearts of players young and old. So sit back, grab some popcorn, and get ready to learn everything you need to know about this lovable pink puffball. One of the biggest challenges in developing Kirby and the Forgotten Land was creating a fully 3D action game in a series that had previously been 2D. While Kirby games have always had a reputation for being accessible and easy to pick up, the transition to 3D presented a whole new set of challenges for the development team. Everything from camera angles to level design had to be reimagined to fit the new format, and the team had to strike a balance between keeping the game true to its roots while also taking full advantage of the new dimensionality. To create Kirby and the Forgotten Land, the development team had to take a fresh look at Kirby's characteristics and figure out how they could be translated into a 3D game. This meant reimagining some of the classic Kirby abilities, such as his trademark inhale, to work in a 3D space. One of the ways the team achieved this was by introducing mouthful mode, where Kirby can inhale multiple enemies at once and hold them in his mouth to use as a weapon. Kirby's homing attack was reworked to enable players to target enemies in the air, making it easier to take down flying foes. Alongside these new abilities, the game also introduces a range of new enemies and bosses, each with their own unique abilities and attack patterns. By reimagining Kirby's abilities for a 3D space and introducing these new mechanics, Kirby and the Forgotten Land manages to keep the gameplay fresh and engaging throughout the entire experience. One of the strengths of Kirby and the Forgotten Land is how the development team managed to make the game both accessible to beginners and challenging for experienced players. For instance, the game gives players the option to choose between two difficulty modes, easy and normal. The easy mode is designed to be more forgiving, with Kirby taking less damage from enemies and some of the more challenging platforming sections being removed. On the other hand, the normal mode provides a more traditional Kirby experience, with tougher enemies and more challenging platforming sections. Additionally, the game provides players with a range of abilities and power-ups that can be used to make combat easier and more straightforward. However, for players looking for a greater challenge, the game also includes a range of secret areas and bosses that provide a real test of skill. Overall, the development team did an excellent job of balancing accessibility and challenge, ensuring that Kirby and the Forgotten Land can be enjoyed by players of all skill levels. Developing a fully 3D action game for Kirby was no easy feat, and the development team encountered several challenges along the way. One example of the trial and error process involved in creating Kirby and the Forgotten Land was in developing the game's camera system. To ensure that the player had a clear view of the action, the team had to experiment with different camera angles and positions. They also had to address issues such as difficulty judging Kirby's direction and positioning in the game world. This required a lot of testing and tweaking, with the team constantly iterating on the camera system until it was just right. Another example of the trial and error process involved in developing Kirby and the Forgotten Land was in designing Kirby's abilities. In previous games, Kirby's abilities were fairly straightforward, with each one having a single use. However, in a 3D game, the team had to rethink how Kirby's abilities would work. They experimented with different movesets and abilities, testing them in different environments and against different enemies. The team also had to address issues such as aiming ranged attacks, which required a lot of testing and tweaking to get right. The team started by brainstorming ideas for how to translate Kirby's abilities into a 3D environment while maintaining the essence of the character. They then created prototypes and playtested them extensively, gathering feedback from both internal and external sources. This allowed the team to identify areas for improvement and refine their ideas. Throughout the development process, the team remained committed to their vision for Kirby and the Forgotten Land, but were also willing to make tough decisions in order to create the best possible game. For example, they scrapped an early version of the game's camera system and started from scratch when it wasn't meeting their standards. They also had to cut certain features and ideas in order to focus on what was working well and ensure that the game was polished and cohesive. The team's willingness to take risks and make tough decisions ultimately led to the creation of a fantastic game that was well received by both critics and fans. Kirby and the Forgotten Land is a testament to the development team's problem-solving skills and dedication to creating the best possible experience for players. By overcoming the challenges of developing a 3D Kirby game, the development team of Kirby and the Forgotten Land proved that they are masters in their craft. But making a great game is only half the battle. In the next section, we'll take a look at how the game's design and mechanics serve to fully immerse players in its colorful world. Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe is a remastered version of the classic Wii game Kirby's Return to Dreamland. The game was developed by HAL Laboratory and published by Nintendo, and was released for the Nintendo Switch in 2023. The development of Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe focused primarily on updating the graphics and improving the overall gameplay experience. The game features high-definition graphics and improved performance, making it a much smoother and more visually appealing experience than the original game. In addition to the visual updates, Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe also includes new features and content not found in the original game. This includes new challenge stages and a new mode called Devilish Mode, which adds an extra layer of challenge to the game. Overall, the development of Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe aimed to modernize the classic Kirby game while staying true to the original experience. Fans of the original game will appreciate the updated graphics and new content, while new players will enjoy discovering the game for the first time on the Nintendo Switch. Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe includes several new features and updates from the original game that make it feel fresh and exciting for both new and returning players. One of the most noticeable updates is the game's graphics. The visuals have been completely overhauled to make the game much sharper and more vibrant. The game's animations are also smoother, providing a more fluid gameplay experience. In terms of gameplay, Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe introduces a new Devilish Mode that adds an extra layer of challenge to the game. This mode makes enemies faster and more aggressive, making it much more difficult to progress through the game. The game also includes new challenge stages that are unlocked as the player progresses through the game. These stages offer a variety of unique challenges that test the player's skills in new ways. Finally, Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe also includes multiplayer support, allowing up to 4 players to play together in both co-op and competitive modes. The gameplay experience of Kirby and the Forgotten Land and Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe are quite different. Despite both being Kirby games, one of the key differences between the two games is the level design. Kirby and the Forgotten Land has a much more open world design, with larger, more expansive levels to explore. Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, on the other hand, has a more traditional level-based structure, with each level being completed in a linear fashion. Another major difference is the combat system. Kirby and the Forgotten Land emphasizes more on combat mechanics, with a focus on dodging and countering enemy attacks. Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, on the other hand, focuses more on Kirby's ability to inhale and copy enemy abilities, with less emphasis on countering enemy attacks. Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe features multiplayer support, allowing up to 4 players to play together in both co-op and competitive modes. This is not present in Kirby and the Forgotten Land. In terms of overall difficulty, Kirby and the Forgotten Land is generally considered to be a more challenging game, with its focus on combat mechanics and open world exploration. Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, while still providing a good challenge, is generally considered to be more accessible and easier to pick up and play. Both Kirby and the Forgotten Land and Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe offer unique and enjoyable gameplay experiences. Innovation and experimentation are crucial components of game development, and Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe is a great example of this. While the game maintains the core mechanics that have made the Kirby series so popular, it also adds new features and updates to keep the experience fresh and exciting for both longtime fans and newcomers. Game developers who take risks and experiment with new ideas help to push the industry forward, creating new and innovative experiences for players to enjoy. It's important to strike a balance between maintaining the core elements of a franchise while also adding new and exciting features to keep things fresh and interesting. Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe is a great example of how innovation and experimentation can breathe new life into a classic franchise. The game's new challenge stages, Devilish Mode, and multiplayer support all add to the experience, while the updated graphics give the game a modern look and feel. Do you love Kirby? What's your favorite game in the series? Let me know in the comments below and leave a like on the video if you enjoyed. If you made it this far into the video, thank you truly.